Hello, friends. It's that time. Time for real talk, real life, where we share stories that will impact your life. So grab a cup of your favorite tea, find your most comfortable chair, as we get ready to journey into the circle. Subscribe now for future episodes.
We don't meet as much as before.
Right, we're winding down and winding out, and
But really not
What
winding
you are
down because the
hearing
promo is
is
the
the
big thing,
sound
right?
of
We still want to
sisterhood
fill that
as we
keep
get
we'll get back
ready
to that
to
number one
journey
spot.
with 5 of the 21 authors of 21 Resilient Women.
So you guys were at number one spot?
yes, we were.
We were a couple of weeks there in motivation, women motivational and empowerment and women's motivation. All of us are Canadians, right?
Right,
Yeah, I think
exactly.
so, right? Yeah, but
Yes,
yeah,
two are living in the U.S.,
but
two
immigrants,
of us.
right?
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but immigrants. So that speaks volumes because
Yes.
then you know we are taking it back to our
Get ready to be inspired as we connect with Alicia, Jenny, Evelyn, Sweta, Shirley, and Angela. Hello and welcome, ladies. Welcome to In the Circle. It's such a wonderful pleasure to have wonderful, beautiful, resilient women on joining us in the circle today. And I am quite thrilled because I was able to read some of the excerpts and stories from this excellent book. And what I would like for you to do, I'm not sure who is going to volunteer by show of hand or pointing at who you think will be best to give my audience an idea of what this book is about, what they can expect when they grab this book, have it in their hand with a cup of tea, ready to drink. What do they expect? Who is it going to be?
Well, I'll say it's like a smorgasbord or a buffet,
Yes.
and you just have options from all around the world, essentially, in terms of the stories that are told. They are stories that are youthful. They're stories from more mature stages of life, and all tell of challenges and victories, and just a real celebration of women of all walks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
And
from what
and I
I've
may
read
want
so far, that sounds like you've gotten it right there. I heard someone else popping in. Who was that?
it's Alicia.
Hi,
I wanted
Alicia.
I wanted to add to Angela's statement that it's a book with diverse women showing multiple facets of their lives. And it's one of those books that you can find something for yourself if it's around personal family life, struggles, being resilient and overcoming those struggles, if it's around career, if it's around other aspects of life, whether it's health and otherwise, there is something for everyone. I like to say of this book that although we are from diverse backgrounds and cultures, there is a resonance of similarity across all cultures and backgrounds that we all share, and
Yes.
that is our humanity.
Yes. Humanity is good, but I also noted too, it's how the humanity connects with women. I find as I was reading through some of your stories, there was a connection there, and I feel like it's because as a female reading this, I was able to connect so easily and so well. So I would love to get to know each of you a little bit more now that we have an idea of what the book is about. I'd love to know just a little bit more about you, the essence of Angela and Shirley and Evelyn and Jenny and Alicia and Sweta, just to get an idea of who you are. So we will start with you, Miss Angela. Give us a quick, just a quick intro.
Well, hello again. I am actually now retired. I'm a mother of four, 3 girls, an adopted boy, and 5 grandchildren who are my heartbeat. I worked in the community college during most of my working years. I was born in Jamaica. I grew up in Illinois, and some guy won my heart and brought me here to Canada. And 41 years later, he's downstairs doing the dishes.
Well, thank you so much, Angela. Shirley, would love to hear your introduction.
Yes, I'm Shirley Chisholm. I am the mother of 3 young ladies. I don't call them girls anymore. They're young ladies. And grandmother to 3, 2 boys and a girl. And I am in the corporate Canada space, as you know, that's my domain. I work for international insurance brokerage, and have moved through the ranks with some difficulty and challenges, which I didn't address in the book, but that's the next story to come.
Yeah.
And through those challenges, I met Alicia, without whom I wouldn't be here today on this to talk about this book. I moved to Canada from Jamaica 32 years ago. So I left there. I came up on vacation with $250 and decided I wasn't going back. And so I stayed on, and within 18 months, I was a permanent resident, and moved on from there. But yes, that's my story. I didn't write about those challenges in my book, but that's part 2.
Evelyn, I would love to hear your introduction.
Thank you. So I am from Trinidad and Tobago, and I came here when I was 17, went to school here and fell in love with the nonprofit sector, and have been doing nonprofit and social impact work for almost 20 years now, and really have a passion for supporting women, helping them to see their potential, because sometimes we don't tend to see that so easily. And so really love working with women and empowering young girls and women to, achieve their dreams.
Excellent. So next, let's get to know Jenny.
So my name is Jenny. I came to Canada in 2006. I'm the mother of 2 boys. And how I got involved in this phenomenal collaboration was a reach out from our chief architect, Daisy. We've been connected for the longest time online. And so it was wonderful to sort of get the invitation. I think I immediately knew that I was in the right space when we had the inaugural meeting, because I jumped on the call and I had 4 ladies say, "Hi, Jenny. Hi, Jenny." And that was fantastic. And I think I instantly knew I was in the right place, even though I may not have had as established a relationship with Daisy as some of the other ladies, because I know those ladies who recognized me and welcomed me in, and I know their passions and I know what drives them. And those passions resonate very much with my passions. So that helped me to know that I was automatically in the right place.
Yeah.
And it was just a second level of endorsement. And so similar to Evelyn, I'm also very passionate about women's empowerment. And it's funny because I'm in a house full of men. I don't have daughters, I have a son, and I have a husband, so I'm the only girl. But interestingly enough, that is a space that I'm extremely passionate about. I'm a CPA by professional training. I came here as an internationally trained accountant, got my Canadian CPA, worked in corporate Canada for over 10 years, and then moved into the nonprofit sector, really through a journey of self-discovery, which was through the network I founded, Black Female Accountants Network, which I think started off in 4 years ago, where I knew one Black female accountant in Canada, and now we're up to 1,400 members with a great track record of what we have done to help the community move forward, the professional community within our community. So yeah, that's really a little bit about me.
Thanks, Jenny. Now over to you, Alicia.
I am a cisgender immigrant, Black mother of Caribbean heritage, Jamaican background. And I really introduce myself as such just to show my social positioning in life. We may want to add into that, highly educated, pulled myself up through education. I really invest a lot in education, and I think it's so important, and that's a part of me, and I give back in that space. A little bit about what I do. I work in the post-secondary sector in diversity and inclusion and human rights, really establishing workplace and a learning environment where everyone can fulfill their full potential, can belong and can show up and get their education, get their credentials, as well as work in a space that's respectful of them and they can thrive and achieve the most of the opportunity of working in that space. So that's a little bit about me. I have 2 children, a boy and a girl. So far, I've heard of all the girls and all the boys. So I got the million. I got the millionaires family. So yes, so that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Sweta, I would love to hear your introduction.
My name is Sweta Regmi. I immigrated to, I left Nepal. That's where I'm from. One of the poorest country in the world, if you guys don't know, land of Mount Everest. I left when I was 20, right after I got married, arranged marriage. So I got married and then I left and I came to States with my hubby, and then he got laid off. Then we had to move to Canada. So we had applied for a Canadian PR. So luckily it was timely. So then we moved around 2021. And then I was a newcomer to Canada, went to college here. I got a job in bank and moved up the ladder, then got laid off and got some soul searching. I traveled, volunteer and whatnot. And then got the job back again, then decided this is not for me. Corporate world is not for me. I had enough. I was kind of like burnt out. Then I founded this company, Teach and Do Career Consultancy, where I teach newcomers and laid off worker how to get back to, the career that you love.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you said that, because it seems as if you're helping and supporting people that have gone through what you went through.
That's exactly why I wanted to transfer the skills that I already got, and I can relate with the emotions, and those sessions could be heavy sometimes, let me tell you.
Trust you have enjoyed getting to know each of these wonderful women better. Now we're going to dig further into the book. Are you ready to be inspired? Let's go. It said I was forced to take personal responsibility for everything. Not sure if you remember that part in your section. The good, the bad, and the indifferent. This was a hard pill to swallow and led to many sleepless nights and soaked pillows. But because I stuck with the process, I overcame the challenges. And this part for you just stood out for me because, you know, the book is talking about resilient women. And as I'm reading through it, you know, I was looking to see where the but was going to come in because of the head, you know, the title of the book. And you did say, but because I stuck with the process. And so I just wanted to get a feeling from you. What were you going through at that time? Because, you know, you had said that you had hit rock bottom and, you know, you needed to take yourself out of that. You adopted a process, and I'll let you talk a little bit more about that process of visualization, gratitude journaling. That those steps, I'm not going to say all of them. I'll let you speak to it, but I think those steps will be very helpful and very pertinent for anyone that is searching and going through a process. Can you go ahead and speak to that for me, Alicia?
Oh man, Candace, when you read that, my hands got sweaty, my palms got sweaty. I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember writing that section, and I could have said more, but with how many words did we get? 2,500 words for our essay. We really couldn't get into it. So thank you for getting into that section. And it's the hard part of the book. It's the hard part of my story. And I'm like, why did Candace have to pick that part? Yeah, so a lot was going on. 4 years I was out of the workforce, and it was by choice. And I was raising younger kids. I also was studying. I was doing a law degree through distance study from the University of London. So during that 4 years, so many things happened. It was trying to study, but also having some really difficult family issues and trying to find work that was meaningful to me. So it was a lot that was going on during that time where my self-esteem was on the floor. I'm trying to find myself as an individual. And I was also trying to not having that financial backbone, not having a job at the time. So things got really tough, and my sense of my identity was lost. Was raising these children and in a family where I felt like my contribution was not showing up fully and contributing as much as I could to the world. And I struggled with that. I really struggled because I'm like, there's more out there. I can do more. I am more. And so things were really, really hard. I looked in the mirror and I didn't know the person. It was like, who's that? And I didn't know myself. And it was in those moments of not identifying the person that I knew myself to be, that I had to make certain tough decisions, some choice, and had to come to grips that I'm responsible for my life and the outcomes and what I contribute to this world. And that was how things turned out. They didn't turn around for the better at first. At first, it got, so that was bad. Yeah, let's go to the next phase, which is really bad, where, many people don't know, but a women's shelter helped me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go there to stay or anything, but they did help me through certain processes. And yeah, so like Jenny, I'm really committed to empowering women, because I know that once women have their strength under them, and once they are able to be their full self, the sky is the limit for them. And so I hit that rock bottom, and it was in those moments of tears and confusion that somehow I was introduced to a network marketing company. And they were big on this thing called personal development and professional development and going to these conferences. And that was the time when I learned certain names and went on YouTube and listened to the Jim Rohns and the Coveys and the Darren Hardy and all so many of them, the Oprahs and the Lisa Nichols and all those people. Thank goodness that YouTube was free or is free. So I was able to dig into those, purchase some books as well. And God bless my sponsor for this network marketing, who introduced us to journaling and also writing affirmation statements. And so I have a stack of maybe 100 affirmation statements. As I see them, I write them down. And so part of you talked about the process. Part of the process was really getting up early, going through my statements, really, really taking them in, feeling them, seeing myself in them, being them, as well as journaling. Every day I write a gratitude statement. If it's, I'm grateful for life, or I'm grateful for the shelter that that we have. I'm grateful for my family and friends. Just simple statements like those. It really reminds me of the basis of life. It's not just about the job and the things we have, but people and relationships and things like that. And the other thing that I do, I'm a prayerful person. I pray incessantly for myself, my loved ones, my friends. And so those are some of the things, and just a desire to always become better through whatever means. And you talked about education. Educating myself is one of those, as well as, seeking the right environments and supports and the right associations, like all my friends here.
That was a powerful share. Thanks so much for sharing, Alicia. Now let's continue with Jenny. I'm going to touch on Jenny for a little bit. I have you next on my list here, and I pulled something out. First, the heading that you have is to behave as her inner woman prompts. And so I looked at that. I was like, okay, what is the prompting that's going on? And it's such a great teaser. And, and I encourage all of our listeners, as you're listening to this is one of the reasons why you need to definitely grab this book. In short, I have realized a valuable lesson of leadership. The wielding positive collective influence, at least, has the potential to be much more powerful than personal contribution. So it's like the positive collective influence versus personal contribution, excuse me. Can you expand on that a little bit? Help our audience understand to what you speak of.
Yes, certainly. So as someone who was really, for the first 6 years of their life, an only child. And, let's face it, by the time you're 6, you're fully cooked. You have, you're an individual, you've got a sense of self. You're used to having everything, you haven't shared. And so I'm one of these people that I'm comfortable being alone, if that makes any sense. So I don't get lonely. And I'm comfortable being alone. So, for instance, I'm not someone who needs a gym buddy. I can sit in a movie theater on my own, because my view is when they turn the lights off, well, you're all concentrating on the movie anyway. Whereas, other people, that they have to go with someone. Yeah. So, and that, I always try to figure that out. Where is that coming from? But it really is coming from the fact that for the first 6 years of my life, I was an only child before any other siblings came. And so you carry that. You see, unconsciously, you carry certain traits from childhood, but you're carrying them unconsciously, right? Yeah. So for the first 6 years of my life, where I had to do things on my own, get it done, fix it, I was carrying that unconsciously through the rest of my life. And so to the point where for a long time, it was so difficult for me to ask for help. Really difficult, because it's like, well, you got this. And I think you find yourself in certain life situations, moving country being one of them, because in our case, we didn't have any family here at all. And we still don't. It is literally just our own family unit. So no aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, parents, nothing. And so that African proverb really came to the fore when we moved here about, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I think some of the challenges that you face, particularly when you're trying to re-enter the workforce and reconnect with your profession, as someone who came from a regulated industry and had the credentials and just the toughness of associated with that journey. And so I think what I came to learn is, yes, you can achieve all these various things as an individual, but one voice is so muted. And it goes back to this expression, I don't know if it came from England, but that's where I heard it from the most. You know, one tree can't make a forest, right? So, you know, seeing what I saw with the whole immigrant professional journey, young girls from our community would ping me on LinkedIn and say, you know, Jenny, you've got a great finance and accounting career. I'm on a flagship program at, you know, one of the top Canadian universities, but I'm thinking of dropping out. Never met any of these ladies, but immediately that surrogate mother chip gets activated. What are you doing? And it was a resounding reason every single time. Well, I've been on my first internship, second internship, third internship. I never saw anyone who looked like me at the company. And so it's the classic of you cannot be what you cannot see. So it gets to a point where you have a moment of realization and self-reflection to say, you know, what can I do? What can I do in a small way to help in this regard? And so being big on advocacy, but at the micro level. So that's really how BFAN, Black Female Accountants Network, came really into existence, through our future generation of female finance and accounting leaders needing that support, needing to understand that there are VPs like Shirley, you know, there are executives out there, but they don't see them. So how do we create a collective forum where they see them, feel inspired, feel motivated, get that career advice, get that support while they're on their programs, get that support when they leave college, entering the workforce? How are we going to do that? And that's something that you absolutely need the collective, because what we have achieved as a group, honestly, even in the next 5 decades, we couldn't have done it if it was just an individual. So it was just a huge lesson about, you know, if you're looking for a certain level of personal excellence, and as many have mentioned, Alicia, for instance, you know, the education is huge. You know, in our culture, it's all about the education.
All about the education, yeah.
Honestly, you know, and in my case, coming from, you know, a West African family, that is number one. Like, it's not even, it's non-negotiable. But you see, as you mature in life and you have more life experiences, and someone mentioned it a few years ago, you know, in the first 20 years, you're learning. In the next 20 years, you're earning. In the next 20 years, you're teaching, you're giving back. And I'd never heard that before, but it makes a lot of sense, because you get to the point where you think, okay, what can I do to at least change, make a little bit of a positive change around me? So that's really where the whole thing about the power of the collective really comes from, just based on, you know, the success we've had within the network primarily.
Yes. Such wonderful nuggets of learning so far. So let's dig a little further into what Jenny said by getting some perspective from Angela. That saying that Jenny just, you know, that quote that she just made about the 2020 with the last bit being teaching, and you're retired. Do you find that to be so? Are you in that teaching stage?
Absolutely. Yes, I like that, Jenny. And I thought, yeah, that's where I am. I'm at that teaching stage. And it's, this is a time when you, well, for me, when I think about, well, what would I have done differently and what can I do for those coming behind? And so that is, I guess, my contribution to being in this group is I wanted to be in a position to empower younger professionals who are mothers and wives and whatever else they may be, and are trying to climb that corporate ladder, trying to personally develop and professionally develop, and just thinking of ways to, um, I guess, from my own experience and experience of others around me, give them
Yeah.
some tools to work with.
What a great example of living unselfishly. Seriously thinking of others and ensuring that your support will be able to help those generations behind you. Angela is such a wonderful example of what you can do of setting a purpose in your life, even through retirement. Now, let's get ready to dig into Sweta's story a little more. What is it that you think was the reasoning behind needing to have to do your own thing versus adjusting or molding to the corporate environment that you were in?
Absolutely. So I think working in the corporate world for more than 12 years, when you get laid off, it just doesn't hit you. You kind of have that ego inside you thinking that, hey, they need me. I'll be back up like next day. Who cares kind of thing. But a lot
Yes.
of people, I think people try to go back right away thinking that nothing happened, but it's huge. And I think um, it takes a toll on you, and then you would never feel the same. There's a thing called empathy and sympathy, right? Like, my husband got laid off. I had no idea. Like, I was like, okay, honey, it's going to be good. We dealt it as a couple. But when it came to my own timing, I was like, oh my God, I did not feel what he felt like so many years
Yes.
ago. And the low, like, I felt like I was nobody. I earned, like, I worked with an award-winning company. I got multiple awards as the best manager, top managers, like, stuff like that. But all of a sudden, when the title was taken away, I felt like, man, I'm good for nothing. And I
Mm-hmm.
was literally thinking, I'll do any job. And at that point, I was like, my self-esteem was so low. I was even going to go and step down and say, I just need a job, leadership role. And I think the huge mistake was not knowing who I was my
Yeah.
strength. And I tried to run away from reality, to be honest. So one day I called the airline. I talked to my hubby. I said, listen, I really am going crazy. So I'm going to leave my kids behind with my parents. My kids, like, now they're 13 and 8, my parents. And then, are you okay with it? So I want to go and see my sponsor kid. I want to see, how do they live, right? How, like, I want to go and, like, do something meaningful when I have nothing to give it. I want to do something really, really meaningful. So I travel, I book one-way ticket, not knowing, not knowing, like, what, if I'm going to survive even 1 week, one-way ticket, right? It was expensive. So I said, okay, I'm going to go next week. And everyone was shocked. And I couldn't believe that I would do it. So I've never stepped into gym in my life, let me tell you. So then, and then I had to walk uphill in the mountain between 8 to 10 hours to reach there, almost died, like, no lights, nothing. And that's when I started to hit me. I was like, oh my God, all these times, like, I'm thinking I'm miserable. I am so blessed. They don't have anything
Mm-hmm.
to, like, and it gave me the new meaning. So I said, when I go back, I really want to do, like, something for people where I can relate my transferable skills. So I had that,
Yes.
like, on my mind, like what I wanted to do, but then bills had to be paid, right? So then I developed this framework and it started working, like, and I got multiple offers and I said, okay, I wanted to be comfortable. I went to the banking sector again, leadership role. I was there for a year, and then I moved too from Toronto to Sudbury, right? It was a huge hit for me. And
Mm.
I'm working with a different demographic. And when you feel like, when you don't see anybody like you there, you feel like, you don't
Yes.
belong there. And I really like that, what Jenny said, if you don't see it, it's not happening, right? So, and that's what I felt every day going to it. And then Friday, I packed up my bag and I said, I'm after we thoughtful thinking, talking to my family, I sent an email to my VP. I said, I'm not coming back. Thank you. Right. So I didn't have any job, anything, but I was doing the side hustle for free to newcomers. I said, it's going to work. They
Yes.
need me more than corporate world needs me. So I just decided to run with it. Yeah.
Wow, wow. And there's a lot of bravery in there, a lot of, decisions to say, okay, this is it. You made a comment in there that reminded me of Elisa's note. So I'm like, okay, when you realize that, okay, there is something to be thankful for. I'm in the trenches here, but there is something to be thankful for. And there's another comment too that I'm not sure if any of the ladies could relate to. When you lost the position, when you lost that title, it's as if you lost yourself. And you're wondering, why are you tied to this position so much when it's not necessarily you, or is it? But I'm going to shift gears a little bit over to Miss Shirley. She went on a different road completely and spoke about the M word. Shirley, over to you. Let us know what led up to, the challenges you're facing on a health perspective and how that affected going through menopause.
Thank you so much, Candice, and to my esteemed colleagues on this journey. You guys have done me so proud. I'm just so amazed every time I hear you speak about your stories and the reasons behind it. And, I recognize that we have many complexities in our complexions, but we're all connected by the one thing that we are, the human race. No matter what we are in our complexions and the complexities of that, we are the human race and we have common experiences.
Yeah.
And so, all of your stories so far has resonated, and perhaps that's why, even though we're all unique in our experiences, I recognized that it would be told excellently by my peers. So I took a different road. And that's why I moved in this direction. As a community, and as women, I think we don't speak about menopause because it might have a stigma against us and our sexuality or femininity. And I think from one of the feedback one of my good friends gave me, she said, I'm so glad that you've healed enough to speak about this publicly. And I thought, wow. and it is a stigma because we wear, and this is why I wanted to speak about it, because we wear it as a cloak of shame. We wrap ourselves, I know a lot of my friends, they're going through it. They make excuses for it. They're struggling. And because they are not openly speaking about it, they cannot get the help they need. Had I not spoken openly to my friends about it, I wouldn't know that they were going through it because I opened that door and they were able to share their experiences with me as I wrote in the book. Like we saw changes in some of our friends. Their personalities changed. Mm-hmm. Their appearances changed. It does impact your appearances because your hair starts to thin out. I had, a thick mane of hair. I was known by my hair. I had hair that bounced as you walk. And my hair started to thin. And I didn't know why. So all of these hormonal impacts, is part of the menopause taking its effect. Going through the process I found out when I was pregnant with my second child that there might be something else going on. And this is when it really came to light that this might have more impact on my health than just, it's not just a cosmetic process. You're not going to have to deal with it just because you don't like how it's making you look. It's not just for cosmetic reasons that you're going to have to deal with this. It could impact your health in many other ways. And I think that is one of the reasons that women should focus on the collateral issues that arise when you don't deal with the symptoms that might be telling you that something else is going on in your body.
Just from a medical perspective, I feel, and I'm not sure if this is still the case, as women that we tend to delay, we will go to the doctor more than men, I find, but we tend to delay taking care of ourselves. We will go, but we may put it off and put it off and put it off because the kids may need to go to the dentist, and you need to remind the husband to, go do his checkup, and you're balancing a number of things. I think Alicia, touched on all these different things that you're trying to balance with school and this and all that stuff, and you're not necessarily putting your health first. Was that in your case, Shirley, or you sensed it and you said, no, I'm not going to play around, I'm going to address this?
It was for me, I had other issues. I had other reasons. But primarily what I didn't know was my health history from my family. Mm-hmm. And so, that is something that, again, because I was, my mom passed away when she was 38. My dad was much older, and he passed away much, when I was, before I went to high school. So, I don't have that close-knit family history. And, in our culture, people don't talk about, mm-hmm. These things. We don't, I say we need to open the kimono and let people in, let people know what's going on. So here we have, when I was going through the issues and having these conversations with my doctor, and then, went to New York and spent some time with my sister, and I was sharing with her, and then she said, oh, but I had that, years ago. I'm like, what? Yeah. I don't remember hearing about that. They do these things, it's private. Yeah. And, had I known that, my niece, which I didn't write about in the book, and I hope she's not listening. I'm not calling her name. She had it at 21. She had this total hysterectomy at 21 years old. The doctor had a consultation. 21. The doctor was so torn up about it because she had never even had a boyfriend at that time. Yet she was going to have a total hysterectomy because she had no quality of life. Mm. So with that history, and knowing that, I knew that I wasn't going to get around it. If I wanted quality of life, I needed to address that. Yeah. It doesn't take anything from me as I'm one of the most feminine women when I go out there, it doesn't do anything for your femininity nor your sexuality, not for me. I mean, it might affect people differently, but I think that is one of the stigmas that women do not want to talk about this because they feel that they might be perceived in a different light. When we talk about cultural issues, I know we have certain stigmas, in our culture, and different ethnicities have their, issues. But mm-hmm. I was surprised recently when one of my colleagues, a Caucasian woman, she had Bell's palsy. And during that time when she started to communicate with different family members, she found out that this cousin had it before, her uncle had it before. So, so it's not just that, us as a, different, each culture, for some reason, we just go through these things, but we never share them. It's not, something we talk about at Thanksgiving or Christmas, unless that person didn't show up because of the issue. But we all have issues that we need to be more transparent around.
Yes, and especially with our children, we probably need to start speaking to our children and so that it they will know as they get older and go through things.
What an impactful journey shared by Shirley, and sound advice as it relates to health. Now let's go over and listen in with Evelyn.
It says, after I graduated high school and was getting ready to go off to university, my uncle visited and sat on the stairs leading up to my room. In the most cold and dismissive way, he asked my dad why he was spending good money on sending me to school. Don't you know that she will go off and get married? How will that benefit you? And I read that and I go, oh my goodness, to hear that as a high school graduate. But what I really love too is that you mentioned what your dad just he brushed it off. That's almost the way in which I would term it, that he didn't take that seriously. And it sounds like it could be a cultural thing, but tell our audience, how did that impact you to hear that, to say, why waste time on a daughter?
Yeah, I think if it goes back to the story earlier, where it happened before, right? Where in my family, my grandfather decided that I would stay home and take care of my family. And so it was a familial value that the young woman would stay home and take care of the children. And that goes back to all the patriarchal structures where that's the place for a woman to be, And so when he said that to me, it did really upset me because it reignited how I felt when I was, having to stay home for 7 years of my very young life when education was so important. Yeah, my dad did brush it off because, it's not a thing. You don't confront family, right? You don't confront family. And so, but it gave me, and I saw this the other day from Evan McMichaels. I think he said, you have to use the pain to propel yourself. And that's what it did for me. While it really infuriated me, I found a positive way to use that pain to push myself to do more. And every time I wanted to give up, I knew that, I couldn't, because I would prove them right. And so it just kept pushing me to do more and do better.
When I feel stuck, I ask myself 3 questions. What would I do if I weren't afraid? What's the worst thing that can happen? What would I want for my sister, niece, or daughter? And I think this is such a great process. And I hear different ones from each of you as we go through. You have a system that you have in play to kind of get you through life. And it's because of the pain, as you said, Evelyn, that you use that pain to propel and to move forward. And I thought that was so nicely put together. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that.
It's now time to engage with Angela. Let's listen in.
Well, my story is called Keeping My Vineyard and Sporting New Tires, and it's looking at the soul care that we need for ourselves, being on this treadmill of life. And although I had gone into retirement, I went into retirement with a plan. And that was
sorry, I'm going to interrupt you there for a moment. Can you say that again, please? Because I think that's an important message for people to hear. Say that again for me, please.
I went into retirement with a plan. Is that what you want?
Plan.
With a plan. Yes, absolutely. And I expected I was going to keep the pace of the plan would be the same pace as my work life. However, during the pandemic, I got into a situation where I had to take time and really take a look at how the speed at which things were happening with me. And so the message in my story is, even for people who are in retirement, is to remember to take care of yourselves. And the plan, the plan doesn't always have to be what you think it is, but be open-minded. And so there was a statement that I learned shortly after I retired. Someone said to me, I have a new definition for retirement. And I said, really? She said, yes. It's called putting on new tires. She said, retire. Get it?
Yes, retire, put it on new tires. We need that on a shirt, a t-shirt, re-tire. That is fantastic, fantastic. And so retirement, it's putting on that, as you said, that new tire, that new direction, that doing what we consider to be retirement at all. Like, it sounds as if the journey has just started, just like it's just started again for you, Miss Angela. So thank you so very much. So, ladies, in closing, what does the future hold? What do you see down the road? So I'm just excited to kind of hear what are the future plans? What's the vision like for each of you in closing? And I'm not sure who is going to let our audience know where they can get this wonderful, beautiful book. But I'm going to start with you, Miss Angela. What's the future? What does the future hold for you?
Well, my future is looking like I'm putting on branches.
Ah,
So yes, the plan that I had has taken a little bit of a turn for the better. I have discovered that what I was looking at was continuing. I was a career advisor in the college system for a long time, and I was going to continue on that path as an entrepreneur. But I'm realizing now that there are other things that, and deep down in my soul, I really find more fulfilling.
yes, and more fulfilling to do. And what I like, this is like the second statement that you've made, that it comes out in a way that, listen, life is elastic. It's flexible. I may start a path, but I'm good with changing it if I need to. And I think that's a very important message to get out there. Thank you so much, and thanks for joining us in the circle. Miss Jenny, what's going to be going on in the future for you?
Well, interestingly enough, I started a second career, in a sense, in workplace diversity and inclusion 3 years ago. And I think I see myself very much working towards deepening my ambitions in that space. I've been very fortunate in the last couple of years to have had a lot of speaking engagements. So I've been approached to do more of that. And so my CPA qualification is still very important to me, and I make sure I do what I need to do to maintain my license and keep up to date with what's happening in that profession. However, just the impact that many of us can make in the D&I space, particularly when it comes to representation. I think BFAN revealed something to me that I hadn't seen before. And you just think to yourself, well, if you can make an impact in a volunteer capacity, what does the future hold? What's the potential if you're doing as your day ambition? So I see myself continuing in the diversity and inclusion space, using my networks, using my speaking to really make the workplace more diverse, more inclusive. That would be it.
Isn't it funny that we're still talking about diversity and inclusion after all these years? I'm trying to be positive that yes, I'm seeing change. There is, but it's slower than I thought. So, Miss Sweta, what's going to go on with a teach and do, or are you branching out into other things?
So, I mean, I normally work with the 101, one-to-one, customized sessions. So I've been feeling this lately, that when I get invited for speaking engagement and whatnot out there by colleges and nonprofit, I feel like the impact is greater. So I'm targeting colleges and university to make more impact to the people, because colleges and universities are not teaching how do you go about getting those career that you were once dreaming about, right? So I wanted to make global impact altogether. So I mean, internationally in Canada, there are a lot of things going on for people who are graduating right after, and there's it's a darkness out there. They don't know what to do. They know personal branding and marketing, but they don't know how to apply it, right?
Yes.
So we all learn it. Luckily, we've come so far, but now it's for me to give it back and then get engaged with those people around the world for Teach and Do, on behalf of Teach and Do, and I'm looking forward to it.
Miss Evelyn, what's going to be happening for you? What's on your plate in the future?
Well, I think the story, the experience of the story has helped me to become much more comfortable with vulnerability. And so I'm wanting to stay with that a little bit longer and get more comfortable in my skin. I've grown up in an environment where it was more important to be the thing that people prefer and not so much the thing that you are. And I want to spend some more time with that. But also, like Jenny, leading a network of women, nonprofit women. So really trying to do more in that area and supporting them as they also go, on their own path of growth.
Yes, yes, and that is so important to have recognized that yes, we all tend to conform to our environments quite a bit, especially when we're younger, and as we develop and grow, we start kind of almost finding ourselves. And it sounds like you're on that journey to find yourself, and I'm so excited to see what's going to come from that for sure. So Alicia, what's coming down the pipeline for you?
I always see myself as someone wanting to make meaningful contributions in whatever space I find myself. So
Yeah.
it will be more of that, making more meaning contributions at the micro level within my family, ensuring that my children are set up for success, whatever that looks like for them, and
Mhm.
charting a path that society will be more equitable for them as they step out there. So, like Jenny, I have a burning desire to really contribute in a space where there's more inclusivity and equity in the spaces around us,
Mhm.
in whatever way that is.
Yes.
So that's at the micro level. I also want to do that in the workplace as well, ensuring that everyone is able to fulfill on their dreams and their aspirations and to be fully used up by the time they retire themselves doing something else, right? As well, making contributions in the community. I find that I get so much joy from my volunteering in the
Mm,
community,
yes.
whether it's on the backpack project, supplying children in in the Caribbean with school supplies and basic personal hygiene uh, items. That gives me so much joy, as well as contributing in my community to the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton.
Mhm.
Yesterday, I was out serving hot meals to people in the community and giving them fresh food baskets that we have gathered. So it's incredible. I see myself as someone who wants to make a contribution to the lives of others because I know that in enriching others' lives, the enrichment comes right back to me
Oh,
at the
certainly.
soul level.
I always challenge people that have not volunteered. I challenge them to do so. And it tires you out and you do what you need to do when you volunteer. But when you leave, you're just so fulfilled. And I see Miss Angela at applauded that too. She's in agreement. And I think most of you are because you're really serving people. That's really what each of you are doing. You're serving people not only in what you do, but you're serving with what you had placed in this book. So grateful for that. And of course, last but absolutely not least, I'm going to go ahead and close out with Miss Shirley. What's in the future for you apart from a book, another book? I can hear it. There's another book coming through, Miss Shirley. But what else is in store for you?
Well, I agree with Jenny on the learning 20 years, the earning 20 years, and now I'm in my teaching, but it overlapped. Nobody told me about the overlapping, right? So I'm still earning, but also teaching and giving back through various uh, not-for-profit volunteer opportunities. I think, as women, we actually, we see the need much, because women do not have the opportunity for advancement as easily as men. And I think because we don't put our hands up, the men own the space. So it's hard for you to find somebody that looks like you to mentor you. So when you have this position, where you have something that you can give back, I think it's incumbent on you to do so. And so I do that. I continue to do that through EWIN, Ebony Women International Insurance Network. We mentor and coach and network with Black women and young people and career changers, so that we can help them to find viable opportunities, employment and career opportunities in the insurance space, because it's not a space that's very well served by minorities. So that's my passion right now. And a couple more books.
A couple.
Oh, good one.
A couple more, and I just want a couple more. Well, this book has been quite inspiring, and I know you had to take the time and energy and dig into your emotions and history and path to put it together. And I am grateful for it, and I know the readers would be grateful for it. Who can tell me where any of our listeners can go ahead and purchase this book?
Yeah, the book's really very available on Amazon. It's easily, it was going to be free up until December 5th, and it was before the launch. So many people were able to download it then, but now people can order it directly from Amazon, and also an Audible version of that book will be released in early next year.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So looking forward to the Audible as well. I can just imagine out walking or trying to work out or on a long drive and able to listen to all the inspirational messages that are enclosed. Well, Resilient Women, thank you so much for joining me in the circle. I greatly appreciate your time, and I look forward to what's next on your journey.